The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. I knew the mic was muted that time. I was trying to ask you, and when I got no feedback, I knew that you guys couldn't hear me. I was hoping that I could just click a couple buttons and get it to come back, but usually I have to restart the stream when that happens. I have to leave and come back in. You know what? Next time, I think I have an antidote to that. I don't know if I'll have to actually start the stream over, but hopefully it's going to happen again. So I'm going to try something next time. We'll see. But anyway, how the hell are you guys doing today? Hope this Friday treated you well. And look, we got action, folks. Rookie minicamps are underway. Got to see the young fellas in their practice shrouds for the first time as Commanders. Beautiful sight to behold. UDFAs, all 10 of them. We talked about them last night in depth. All signed their UDFA contracts. Okay, so they're official members of the Washington Commanders roster for now. All three of the day 3 selections, Jalen Lane in the 4th round, Kane Madrano in the 6th round, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in the 7th round, all signed their rookie contracts as well. So we're just waiting on the first 2 draft picks to sign their deals to complete the Commanders draft picks from 2025 in their class in terms of getting everyone signed up. But they're in attendance. They're participating, unlike the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, man, the Cincinnati Bengals are a mess. Yikes. Anyhow, so I want to talk about the minicamp and what you should be looking forward to, or at least what I'm looking forward to in these minicamps. Again, there's only so much you can glean from these things. Obviously, there's no pads, there's no contact, and they're out there with other guys that, for lack of a better term, probably won't be on this roster when they head to camp in July. That said, you still want to go out there, put your best foot forward. This is the first time that the coaches will be able to really lay eyes and hands on these prospects, see them run around, see the athleticism, which is one of the biggest things that this group brings to the table. Their raw athleticism is among the best of any draft class to come into the league this year. So obviously you want to see these guys move around, and I'm going to give you some things that I'll be looking for as this mini camp takes place over this weekend starting today. So before we get to any of that, though, I want to talk about who's in attendance. I think that's a really big deal. And there are a lot more names coming out to this thing than I initially expected. So let's take a look at who is actually at this rookie minicamp. It's funny because we call it rookie minis because those are the guys that are the most important, but they're far from the only people that are there in attendance. There are guys that are second-year players that were here last year as rookies, and UDFAs in particular. There are NFL veterans that I want to talk about that are in attendance, trying to get back into the league and give themselves a chance to latch on to a roster. And so let's talk about who is in attendance. So obviously you got your 5 draft picks here. We all know the numbers. In case you didn't know, Josh Connolly Jr. will be rocking 72. Trey Amos will be rocking 23. Jalen Lane, and I will tell you, and I'm standing 10 toes down on this. You know, we had a very long and lively discussion about jersey numbers on the Commanders Kings on Tuesday night with the fellas. And I'm standing 10 toes down. I'm doubling down. Hell, I'm tripling down on Jalen Lane's 83. He looks good in the 83 number, and you can't convince me otherwise. He's going to be just fine in 83. He doesn't need to change his number. He's not going to change his number. He was 83 in high school. He was 83 in college, and he's going to be 83 in the pros, and he's going to look good in the 83 number. He doesn't need to do anything with it. K. Medrano, 56. It's going to have to grow on me. Again, he's this tall, angular guy that just 56 is usually reserved for a meathead, and he's not that, right? And then 32, we got to get him out of this thing. We got to get him into a real jersey number. Maybe he'll just stick with 32. I hope not. I hope that he's like really plotting on one of these 20 numbers that may come available after cuts have been made. And then he pounces on one of them as soon as one is made available. But he may just decide 32 is cool and he's just going to stick with it. I hope that's not the case. But anyway, we will see. So all of these guys are in attendance. Fun to see them out there running around. I'm going to have a video that I'll upload over the weekend with some, sights and sounds from, the rookie minis, some pictures, things of that nature. We'll also have some discussions about some other things that have come out about the team over the last 24 to 48 hours. So that video will be up at some point this weekend. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, you've got your undrafted free agents and second-year players who are in attendance as well. So as we know, we talked about these guys already. 10 of them are UDFAs that the team just signed today, as they all showed up, or actually showed up yesterday on the 8th. And they got all of them under contract before they set foot on the field. Jacoby Jones, we talked about him, wide receiver out of UCF, 6'3", 228. He's not 6'3". Okay. He's 6'1". But Ja'Cory Brooks, 6'3", 195. He's not 6'3". Okay. He's 6'2". He might be 195. He's probably 190. Okay. Carlin Vigors, he's a legit 6'2", 200 pounds. Fintrell Cypress, the third cornerback out of Florida State, 6 feet, $188. Sounds about right. He was a $182. So I think they're going off of like program height and weights. Never trust the program height and weight. Ever. Okay. Trey Rucker, safety out of Oklahoma State, 5'11". He was measured at the Big Ten Pro Day. So he's 5'11", 203 is about right. Michael Wiley, that's a name that should be very familiar to you. He was here last year as a UDFA, a guy that I liked out of Arizona last year that I was really pushing to try to make this roster. Remember, last year, the running back position was wide open. Like, all we had was B-Rob coming back, Austin Eckler added in free agency, and then the rest of the spots were really open, right? Chris Rodriguez, we thought would be a fixture on the roster, but he really wasn't, right? They instead signed Jeremy McNichols, who ultimately ended up playing a much bigger role than I think any of us had envisioned when they signed him. I thought that was a throwaway signing, just a guy to bring to camp that would compete, maybe be on the practice squad when the season kicked off, but he ultimately ended up being, the third running back. And really it boiled down to his ability to play special teams. And so Wiley was, a non-existent last year. So here's another opportunity for him to get out on the field, showcase what he can do, remind them of why he's here, right? At this point, Michael Wiley feels like an afterthought. Like, obviously, and I saw an interesting comment, and I told you I'm going to have that series starting here in a bit where I'm going to read some comments that I think are worth, talking and bringing up. And someone said that their surprise move of the offseason is B-Rob's getting cut in camp. No, he's not. Stop it. Okay. Okay. Stop it. That is not happening, folks. Michael Wiley feels like a guy that if he shows enough in the preseason and in training camp, he could be back on the practice squad yet again. But this feels like kind of a crossroads for him here in Washington. Like if he doesn't show enough here in this rookie mini, right? Like to really re-solidify himself as a guy that needs to at least be at the 90-man training camp opportunity in the summer. Like if he can't solidify himself, he may not be here. There may be, you know, another guy that comes in here, and because again, there are 90 spots, but it doesn't mean that they won't get rid of someone to make room for another guy, right? Obviously, that's what some of this is about. So he's a guy that I think definitely needs to go back out there and reestablish himself. I still believe Michael Wiley is a solid NFL running back. So we'll see, right? Cam Arnold, talked about him, linebacker out of BC. 6'1", 229. That sounds about right. Robert McDaniel, safety, 6'2", 207 out of Jackson State, measured at 6'2", 211 at the HBCU Combine. He's a guy that is very intriguing. I think he's got a legitimate shot. And this when we talk about athleticism, and I'm going to talk more about things to watch for, he'll be in a part of that discussion for sure. Ale Cajo, linebacker out of UCLA. Somebody said to me in the comment section that one of their buddies hates the way I say UCLA. I say UCLA. I don't have any animus towards UCLA. I just like saying UCLA. I'm a very literal guy. When you see it, it looks like UCLA. So that's what I say. But I don't. See, they thought that I, was a USC fan or something like that because they're hated rivals. I have no animus towards UCLA. If anything, I hate USC more than UCLA because as a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, that's one of our rivalries. And one of the teams we play every single year. It's usually our last game of the regular season at the back end of our schedule, but that's nor here nor there. TJ Magnum, right? TJ Mag, our, as you can see down here, the asterisk, TJ Mag is the Commanders IPP player. We talked about him. That's the rugby player that they signed to the IPP probably in, I want to say it was early April. They signed him. We talked about him. 6'4", 222 as a defensive end. He's got a lot of work to do. I don't know if anything's going to come of this, but to be 222 pounds, he's got a lot of growing to do. He's got a lot of work to do, and he's extremely raw. Obviously, he's never played American football, and he's 222 pounds. And so you got to assume that he'll have at least 2 redshirt years. You got to assume like this year to put on maybe 15 pounds. Next year, maybe he can put on another 5 to 7 pounds, get up to 245-ish. And then you kind of see what he can do. Like you can't, I mean, they're going to throw him out there in the preseason. He's going to get manhandled. Even against third stringers, he's going to get manhandled at 222 pounds. Like he might be, by the time the preseason starts, he might be 235. He might be 237, maybe even 240. That's a lot of weight to gain in such a short amount of time. But the athleticism is supposed to be off the charts. Again, he's another guy that you just want to see, right? You just want to lay eyes on. Aneem Dankwa. I talked about him in the offseason. Remember, I said he's one of the guys that I think is very intriguing as an offensive lineman prospect that you continue to work with. He was extremely raw out of Howard. They brought him in here, huge, man, right? Massive man at 6'7", 330. And so he has some tools to work with. Long arms, massive frame. Can he find a way to put it together? I like that they have him out here. And again, much like Michael Wiley, they want to take another look at this guy. And I talked about it. Can he develop? Can he develop? We need a swing tackle, right? Foster Sorrell is only here for a year, more likely than not. Maybe if Foster Sorrell does a really good job here, they may re-sign him, similar to, Cornelius Lucas when he was first brought in. I think it was a 1-year deal, and then he performed really well, and then they gave him like a 2-year contract extension. More likely than not, Foster Sorrell is just a Band-Aid solution. Someone's going to have to be the long-term swing tackle on this team. Could it be Aneem Dankwa? Probably not, but they're going to continue to try to work with him. Ricky Barber, we talked about him, defensive tackle out of UCF, 6'4", 295. Sounds about right. Not the 6'4". He's 6'1", okay? 6'1", 6'2", 296 was what he measured at the pro day. So, yeah, he's not 6'4", okay? Timothy McKay, guard out of NC State, 6'4", 312. Sounds about right. And that's the guy that they paid the most money to of any UDFA during the period. And as I said yesterday on the stream, if you haven't checked that out, do yourself a favor, check that out. I went through all 10 of the UDFAs, and I think some of you thought I was shitting on Timothy McKay last night. I really wasn't. Now, again, every UDFA that we brought in here, they're a UDFA for a reason. And I told you, I'm not going to sugarcoat you. I'm not going to, sit here and tell you that these guys are great. If that were the case, they would have gotten drafted. Now, McKay probably would have gotten drafted if not for the torn pec. And, a lot of times with these prospects, you also have to keep in mind the games that you watch are going to really alter the way that you view a prospect. That's human nature. I watched him in a game where he wasn't very good. So I had to watch another game to give me a different perspective so I could balance out the way I felt about him. But I couldn't erase the fact that I watched the first game, and that first game featured guys that I think are going to be closer to what he would see at the NFL level. So again, what I see versus what they see are two different things. I see flaws, and I see a guy that can't help you as a starter, may be able to help you as a backup at the NFL level. They probably saw workable traits, bad habits and things they can clean up and get this guy to be a really good, interior offensive lineman at the NFL level. Again, no harm in that, right? So this is the list of undrafted free agents that were signed to the Commanders, 10 of them in all, and then 2 second-year players that were here last year, Michael Wiley and Aneem Dankwa, right? So 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then, of course, TJ Mag, the IPP player, also a part of this group as well. So now you get to the very, very interesting list here, right? These are your tryouts, a.k.a. the Tryouts, all right? So we knew about a number of these guys. We talked about some of them. Colin Ski from Virginia Tech, the quarterback that's very athletic. Nathan Peterman. So what's really interesting about this list is there's a smattering of NFL veterans worked in here with these tryouts. I don't recall seeing this many NFL veterans at a rookie minicamp. I guess we can use air quotes when we say rookie very loosely. I don't recall this many veterans being worked in to see if they had anything to give. Obviously, you need somebody to throw the football. Last year, we didn't need any quarterbacks to be at the camp because guess what? We had Jaden Daniels and you had Sam Hartman. So you didn't need anybody. We don't have any rookies really here other than Colin Skill, right? So you needed to probably have another quarterback here. That's what I think Nathan Peterman's presence at this camp is. Not that he has a shot to be on this roster, not that they're assessing him to see if he's a guy that they want to keep around. I just think they needed another guy to help run practice. You need at least 2 quarterbacks to run practice smoothly. So I think they already had Colin Skill. They wanted another guy. Nathan Peterman was that guy. He is of the 5 interception in his first career start, in the first half of his first career start fame, right? 5 interceptions against the Chargers in his first start, in the first half of his first start as a Buffalo Bill. No one will ever forget that game with Nathan Peterman. Trenton Irwin. So this says Irvin. It's Trenton Irwin, okay? He's actually had a solid NFL career to this point. Actually shocked to see him on this list. 6'2", 204-pound receiver. They put Stanford up here like this man just got out of college a year or 2 ago. This man's been in the NFL for like 4 years. He had some good years with the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Like 1 year he had 4 touchdown catches. I want to say it was 2022. And in 2023, I think he had over 300 yards receiving. Like Trenton Irwin was a really integral part of that Bengals offense. Like Joe Burrow would look for him on third down situations and in the red zone and things of that nature. Like, I'm actually shocked to see him on this list. So he can play. Like, he's no slouch. So Trenton Irwin at this camp, pretty interesting name. Dorian Anderson is interesting for no other reason than his height. I saw that and I was like, is that a typo? Is he really that tall? I don't know. Like, again, never trust the program, right? Never, ever trust the program, right? So he might be really 6'5", but I mean, shit. Like, it's one thing to embellish a 6'1" guy and say that he's 6'3". It's another thing to embellish a 6'5", 6'6" guy and you know, say he's 6'7". Like, you can't be 6'4" and then they put you on the program at 6'7". He's got to be really tall. Like, he might not be 6'7", but he probably 6'6". He's no shorter than 6'5". Probably 6'6" though. Whatever the case may be, that's pretty damn tall at the receiver position. He's skinny as hell, right? At 6'7", 6'6", 200 pounds, he's really skinny. Out of southeastern Missouri State. F.A. Adai out of Sam Houston State. Peyton Buckley, a DB out of Augustiana University. There's our guy, Gabe Taylor. Oh, no, not our guy, your guy, Gabe Taylor. There's your guy, Gabe Taylor out of Rice. We'll see if he can find. You know what pissed me off today? And yes, I'm being a bit of an ass here, but you know what pissed me off today was this whole notion that this was some sort of breaking news. Like, ESPN pisses me off when they do shit like this. Like, it's not a story. It's not real until they report it, right? We all knew Gabe Taylor was going to be at this at the rookie minis with a tryout invite. Like, why did they send that out today as a notification? Like, this is breaking news. Oh my God, Sean Taylor's brother is getting an opportunity to try out with the Command. We've been knew that. Hell, our GM was on your program, on your station, or as Pat McAfee likes to say, his program, and he told you that he was there for a tryout. Like, why did you feel the need to put that out there today? I had people at me like this was new news. I'm like, bro, why are you atting me this? Because ESPN put it out there like the shit was new. Ugh. Damn ESPN. Kalen Moore, are you surprised? Another UCLA Bruin in attendance? You shouldn't be. This is the new norm, right? Every year we're going to have 2 or 3 UCLA Bruins in attendance at our rookie minis. One of them made the roster last year. As you remember, as you can recall, Colson Yankoff made the roster as an undrafted tight end. So never sleep on these Bruins. There's an affinity there for Bruins here in this building now. Brandon Turnage, a DB out of Ole Miss. Xavier Rubio, you need to really lock in on this guy. He is a guy that I wouldn't be shocked. Like, everybody wants to talk about Gabe Taylor. You should be talking about Xavier Rubio. This is a guy that they liked pre-draft process. I'm actually surprised that they did not sign him instead of Trey Rucker to a UDFA deal, right? This was a guy that they were all over, similar to Robert McDaniel and Carlin Viggers before the process, but during the draft process, rather. They worked Xavier Rubio out privately, just like they did Robert McDaniel prior to the draft. So I thought we were going to see both of those guys get signed as UDFAs after the draft. Actually surprised that he didn't, but this is the guy that you need to keep an eye on. Got that similar frame, 6'2", over 200 pounds, that they're looking for at that safety position. So just a name to keep an eye on. Here's another name to keep an eye on. Keegan Jones, running back, 6'1", 191 pounds, again, out of UCLA. All right, so again, the Bruins showing up, showing out in full force at this rookie minicamp. As we know, they already have a hybrid wide receiver, running back, return man on the roster from UCLA, coincidentally enough, in shucks. What is his damn name? I literally had it on the tip of my tongue and I literally just forgot. Kaz Allen, right? I'm looking at Kaz Allen and saying, hey, you could be tagging in another UCLA Bruin and you could be tagging out. If this guy comes in there and impresses them at this workout, at this tryout, rather, I don't know. We'll see. Again, I don't know. We'll see. Xander Mueller, linebacker out of Northwestern, 6'3", 232 pounds. Maurice Smith, offensive lineman out of Florida State, I think was a name we already knew was going to be at this tryout. Joseph Carter was another name we knew was going to be at this tryout out of Western Illinois, another offensive lineman. Ben Rather, another Northwestern football player, this time along the offensive line, 6'6", 315 pounds. So here's where things get really interesting with this tryout, because now we get into some of these veterans, right? Tyree Phillips was a former 2020, I believe. Either 19 or 20. I think it was 2020 draft. I want to say he was either a third or a fourth round pick. I'm going to say third. I think he was a day 2 pick of the Baltimore Ravens. I do remember the Ravens draft because I said that's the perfect spot for him. He's a big physical road grading offensive lineman. It's just what the Ravens like. And he got injured, ended up getting cut eventually. And last time I checked, he was with the Giants, right? So Tyree Phillips, veteran offensive lineman, played in the league, been in the league for probably 3-4 years now, getting an opportunity to try out. So we'll see what happens there. Malik Carr, tight end, 6'6", 265 out of the University of Houston. Jude Wolf, 6'6", tight end out of San Diego State. Here's another NFL veteran, I think, of that same 2020 draft. Again, could be 2020, could be 2019. Feel like it's 2020, right? Ross Blacklock, 2nd round pick out of TCU, was drafted by the Houston Texans in the 2nd round that year, whether it was 19 or 20, or it could have been 21. I think it was 20 though. Really interesting that he just didn't pan out. I didn't love him coming out of TCU, but he was definitely twitchy. Just never panned out. And at the Texans, and I guess he bounced around and now he's looking for work. I wonder if he played football last year. But that's another interesting name. That's a former 2nd round pick. So you got DeAndre Jules, defensive lineman out of South Carolina. And then Austin Bryant, another NFL veteran, this time an edge that may get some people excited there. 6'5", 250 out of Clemson. Now, he was drafted either 2020 or 2019. I know it's not 2021. So he's going back a ways. And I think he was drafted by... he was drafted by the Lions or the Bears. I think it was the Lions. It was Austin Bryant drafted by. I think it was the Lions in 2020 or 2019, one of the two. I'm gonna just put all of them in 2020. And the interesting thing with him was at one point he ended up in San Francisco. I remember him being in San Francisco briefly. I think he crossed paths with Adam Peters and our defensive line coach, Daryl Tapp. I could be wrong about that. And he could have been in San Francisco in 2024, not 2023, but I think he was in San Francisco in 2023. So that's something to keep an eye on. Again, I wouldn't put too much stock into it. Tryouts are exactly that, tryouts. I don't expect any of these guys, right, to end up usurping a guy that is currently on the 90-man roster, booting them out and inserting themselves in. But two names to keep an eye on for me would be Xavier Rubio, the safety out of Howard, and Keegan Jones, the running back out of UCLA. Those are the two names that really stand out to me as guys that they could easily say, hey, you're out. Xavier, you're in. Hey, you're out. Keegan, you're in. So keep an eye on those two guys in particular as players that could potentially get a nod. And also remember, as we talk about some things to take into consideration, always remember with these tryouts is that they may not make it the first time around, right? Like Gabe Taylor, for instance, since that's a hot name that people love to bring up, he has other camp invites. I hope you guys are aware. Like everyone doesn't have their rookie mini camp at the same time. There are other teams that haven't had their rookie minis yet. And he has, an opportunity to go to those as well. And he'll be trying out for other teams and he'll be trying to latch on to an NFL roster the best way he can. And when you try out for a team during a camp like this, that's over a 3-day span, teams get a good look at you and things happen, right? We got 90 now, but anything could happen down the road where a player gets injured and they end up, working out an injury settlement and they move on from someone. Now you got a roster spot available. The first thing you're going to probably do is you're going to call up one of the guys that was in here for a tryout. That's the most likely outcome when you have a availability all of a sudden. So you may not, these guys may not make it now. Most of them, I'm going to say all of them won't, right? And I could be wrong. One or two of them could actually, like I said, end up on the 90-man roster and get an invite to camp essentially. But the likelihood is they're going to keep the 90 guys that they already have on the roster. With the signing of the 10 UDFAs and the 3 day 3 selections, all they have to do now to have everyone under contract, all 90 guys, they have 88 guys under contract technically right now. To have all 90 under contract, all they have to do is sign Trey Amos, their 2nd round pick, and Josh Connolly Jr., their 1st round pick. So again, it's going to be hard for someone to make their way onto the 90-man and get an invite to camp unless something kind of goes wrong or you just go out and absolutely kill it, impress them to the point where they're like, hey, we really want to take an extended look at this kid over the summer, right? So here are some things that I'm looking at heading in to this mini camp with these rookies and these second-year guys and even some of the tryout players. First things first is Josh Connolly Jr., right? I'm like, he's not alone in this because I talked about athleticism and they want to see all of these guys be athletes out there. They want to see Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. They want to see Trey Amos. And speaking of Trey Amos, I need to bring this up because this also was not new news. And I also felt like people were making a big deal out of this as if we didn't know that this existed. So the whole back issue thing, you correct me if I'm wrong, because this might have been news to you. The back thing was not news to me. Did you guys know about that or not? Because I did. So I'll tell you how I found out, because it's not a big deal. So I didn't make it a big deal and I didn't bring it up because if Adam Peters and company were comfortable enough pulling the trigger, then that means they were comfortable enough with the medicals. As long as they're comfortable, I haven't seen the medicals. I know nothing about it, so I don't give a shit, right? But, and I just think about all the times that people's medicals saw them fall down the draft and we ended up taking them. Jonathan Allen's neck, Montez Sweat's heart. How did those things play out? How did those things alter their careers at all here in Washington? It didn't. So I remember when the linebacker. Oh my God, where did he go to school? Was it UCLA? That the Jaguars drafted in the second round. Man, we going back a ways. This had to be the 2017 draft, I think. 16 or 17 draft. Super talented, but he tore his ACL. And or I don't think he tore his ACL. I think he had torn it like maybe the year before, something like that. Whatever the case may be. No, I think they were in the same draft too. I'm thinking about the Notre Dame linebacker, Jalen Smith, who is coincidentally enough, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, is getting a tryout with, I think, the Raiders or somebody. Like, after all these years, what? But I remember he, in the bowl game, messed his knee up and he fell to the second round in Dallas. And Miles Jack, thank you guys. Thank you. Miles Jack was the linebacker that they said they found his knee, like his knee was going to explode in like 3 or 4 years. Like, he wasn't going to make it through his rookie contract. They were wrong about him. He fell all the way to the second round to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm always a little leery of that stuff, right? Anyway, I remember during the draft, because I'm an NFL Network guy. I tell you that all the time. When I watch the draft, it's on NFL Network. I'm not an ESPN guy, as you probably can tell. Not that I don't think they have really insightful people that do a great job. It's just I prefer NFL Network. So Daniel Jeremiah, when Trey Amos fell to us, he was like, Ian, I need you to get on this. Is there some sort of injury concerns or something? Like, this is tremendous value. I didn't see him falling this far in the draft. Can you check on any injury, concerns or something as to why he fell? Because this is tremendous value for the Commanders here at 61. Make me feel even better about the pick, even though I already felt great. I told you he was my 5th best corner in the draft, and he was the 6th corner taken. So he kind of fell to us, but he still was right around where I thought he would go. I just thought he would go a little sooner than our pick. That said, Ian Rappaport came back and he pretty much said there was a little bit of a back issue that teams were a little concerned about. Nothing major. Obviously, we weren't concerned, and Trey Amos wasn't concerned. And so I didn't really bring it up to you guys because I've seen enough of these over the life of my career doing this to know that this usually doesn't end up being an issue. What ends up being an issue is a guy can't play. Rarely does, a condition that they found pre-draft end up being the demise of a prospect. It usually is he's just not very good, or he doesn't turn out to be very good in the league. So I did just want to bring that up because I did see that come up and people were talking about it. I think one of those ESPN guys I think we're on with JP Finley. I forgot the name of the guy that was on with JP Finley, but he brought it up, and all of a sudden ESPN is acting as if they're breaking news. And I'm like, bro, I already knew that. I can't speak for anybody else. Maybe you guys didn't know about it. I already know about it. So anyway, I digress. So, but Josh Connolly is one of the guys that I think is going to be really intriguing at this camp. Obviously, with offensive linemen, it's always really tough to figure out where they're going to be. Our GM has already said, and we already knew this, he's not playing left tackle. That we can definitively tell you he won't be at left tackle. That's already reserved for Laramie Tunsil. But the goal is to get him over on the right side at right tackle. But again, there's no guarantee. And I brought this up, and I had someone say in the comment section, if Connolly can't start the season off at right tackle, let's just say that he's not ready for right tackle duty right away. But he's ready to go in and help at guard immediately. And Cosme's not ready to start the season. I'm still holding out hope that Sam Cosme is going to be ready to start the season at right guard. Until they tell me Sam Cosmi is starting the season off on the PUP list, until I hear that come out of someone's mouth within the organization or someone that covers this team says that, I am still of the mind, body, and soul that Sam Cosmi will be ready for week 1. I'm probably going to be disappointed and wrong, and he's probably going to start the season off on the PUP list, which is fine, right? It's to be expected, but I'm not putting that out there in the atmosphere. That said, the assumption is that he'll probably start the season on the PUP list, and if he does, someone's going to have to take that spot. What if that someone is Josh Connerly? I wouldn't be upset. Someone said, if Connerly's not starting at right tackle week 1, that pick automatically goes from a B to an F. And I'm like, okay. I mean, let's not act as if we've never seen first-round offensive linemen start their careers off at guard before transitioning out to tackle. Now, this would be for a different reason, right? Like Laramie Tunsil literally started his career at guard as a Miami Dolphin, but it was because the Dolphins already had 2 tackles that were really good and established as veterans. Because again, they had no intentions of drafting Laramie Tunsil. Remember, the Bong video came out the day of the draft. He slid to them at 12, I believe it was. And so they were like, look, this is too good of a value to pass up. So they took him. So they ended up playing him at guard. And then I think probably his second year, third year into the league, he finally kicked out to tackle, and the rest is history. So we've seen, first-round offensive linemen. Hell, last year, the Jets drafted the Penn State tackle, right? Olu Fashanu, and they had 2 veterans, Morgan Moses at right tackle and the former Cowboy tackle, Tyron Smith, at left tackle. And so they played him at guard. I think this year, with both of those guys out of the picture, I know this year, with both of those guys out of the picture, he's going to slide out to the tackle position. It happens. Now, in both of those instances I just gave you, right, there were tackles already there, veteran tackles that were trusted, that were reliable, that were already in place. We don't necessarily have that. We have the left tackle, but right tackle is a big question mark right now. So you would think he should be able to just slide into there. And if he can't, those guys didn't have to worry about people questioning, could they do it? Because there were already established veterans there. I think it would raise a bit of an eyebrow, I will admit. Like a lot of us, including myself, would be a little bit skeptical of, that's not good if he's not ready to go right out of the packaging at right tackle. But what I don't want to do is take a young guy who's still developing at the position and throw him to the wolves and have his confidence shot if he's not ready. We don't have to do that. You still got Brandon Coleman. You still got Andrew Wiley. If he's more comfortable playing guard right now than he is tackle, I'm all for it. And this is the first step in the process to determining what he's capable of doing. Remember, when Brandon Sheriff was drafted here back in 2014, it did not take them very long to realize they drafted a guard. It didn't take them very long. And the first time you get to lay eyes on a guy, you can kind of tell with their movement skills. You start to see them. You see them up close and personal. And they've seen Connerly. He's been around the building, unlike the rest of these draft picks, who this is the first time they're really interacting with in Ashburn. They've had, dealings with Connerly. They flew him out, had a press conference. He was in the building before. So they've seen him. They've seen his arm length, all that stuff. But now they get to see him move. They see his movement skills. They get to see him out there on the field, and they get to see if they got it right in terms of, can this guy play tackle? Now, again, the real test will be when the pads go on, and we won't find that out until we get to training camp. And really, we won't find that out probably until August. Because remember, the pads don't go on the first, 7-8 days of camp, right? The pads don't go on until like day 9 or 10 of camp. So you're not going to find out about, Josh Connerly Jr. and whether he can play guard or tackle until then. But you start to see what he can do here at this rookie mini. Same can be said for all the other guys. You start to see their athleticism, things of that nature. Something else I'm going to be looking for at this rookie mini camp is can some of these undrafted guys kind of establish themselves? Again, you need to stand out here. This is your opportunity to stand out if you're a UDFA. Because once the team comes together, remember, this is the one and only time the rookies and the guys that are UDFAs and these tryout players, this is your one time to shine. This is your one time to shine on your own, because there will never be another instance where the rest of the team isn't together with these rookies, right? This is the only time they'll be isolated by themselves and have the floor to themselves. After these 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the rest of the team comes together. They join their teammates, and you'll never be separate again. And once the team comes together, they're not focusing on these young guys like that again. You don't get all this attention. You don't get the opportunity to make all these plays where you get noticed. This is your opportunity to catch a coach's eye for them to say, hey, we got to keep an eye on this kid. He's really impressive. This is your opportunity to really start to make waves. So you got to take advantage of this. If you're a Ja'Cory Brooks, this is an opportunity for you to take advantage of a wide receiver, a back end of a wide receiver room that's in flux. If you're Robert McDaniel, this is a great opportunity for you to come in here and do what Tyler Owens did last year. He came into the rookie mini and he turned heads. God, he's big. God, he's fast. God, he looks like a physical freak. This is your opportunity to show them, hey, I can do all the things you need me to do and be just like Tyler Owens was, a guy that was a UDFA that ended up making a 53-man roster. This is your opportunity to turn heads, to make a statement, to say, I belong. So it'll be interesting to see what these guys do, how these guys perform. Again, you're not out here in pads and, you know, there's no thumping going on, but you have a chance athletically and intellectually, right? Make the least amount of mistakes you can, right? Be mentally sharp and engaged. You make a mistake, they teach you and they show you the right way to do it. Don't make the mistake again, right? These are things that go a long way. Oh, this kid's coachable. These are the things that we want to hear coming out of this thing. Like, okay, you know, this guy. We heard some of those things last year. Like Jordan McGee was one of the standouts last year, along with Jaden Daniels, obviously. Like, we heard so many things about Jaden Daniels out of rookie minis last year. Forget about training camp and preseason. Rookie minis. The ball didn't hit the ground. This guy is intellectually, he was locked in. He wanted more at rookie mini camp. He already had a lot of the playbook digested. Cliff Kingsbury was blown away. We heard all of this at rookie minis. Who's going to be that guy this year? I don't know if there'll be a guy like that this year. Because obviously there was a lot of focus on the second overall pick, the first draft pick of the new regime. And, oh, by the way, he plays the most important position in all of the sport, quarterback. So there was a lot of emphasis and focus on him last year. But who's going to be that guy that just, they can't stop ranting and raving about how impressive this guy is? It was Jaden Daniels and it was Jordan McGee last year out of rookie minis. Will there be a guy or two that does the same thing? We'll see. You know, we'll see. But this is those UDFA and tryout guys. It's their opportunity, right? For the UDFAs, the good thing for them is, barring some kind of catastrophe, they're going to camp. Like, they don't have to come in here and win a job. They've already essentially gotten an opportunity similar to a draft pick. But they're in the process of trying to win a job, a 53-man roster spot job, or at a bare minimum, a 16-man practice squad job. So they're already starting their audition for that. The draft picks are going to make the team. We only got 5. All 5 of them are making the team. Okay. All 5 of them are making the team. So they don't have anything really to worry about. But those UDFAs, their audition for either the 53-man roster or the 16-man practice squad roster, it starts now. And for the tryouts, they're trying to get onto the 90-man roster, right? So it's a really good opportunity, and I can't wait to start to hear some feedback about, what's going on out there, what guys are doing, et cetera, et cetera. So let's get to the comment section, and I'll get you guys out of here. I didn't want to come talk you to death, but I did want to talk about some of the guys that were going to be there and some of the things that, I'm going to be looking for. I also want to hear, about Jalen Lane as a punt returner. Because he's so dynamic. Like, you guys know how excited I am about actually finally getting a punt returner. I told you this offseason, I said, we're getting a punt returner. I'm telling you, they're going to get us a punt returner. And boy, did they ever. They delivered, and I can't wait to hear about, that. And that'll probably come in the summer, right? That'll probably come in July as we get to training camp. But I'm just so excited about finally getting a punt returner. You don't know how much I've been waiting for them to finally do this, to solidify. And to me, it's not that hard to do this. I don't know why it took this organization so long to do something that I think it's a very minimal investment to find a guy that can field punts and kickoffs. There's so many guys that do it at a high level in the collegiate ranks. Just grab one. I didn't understand why it was such a big deal, why we couldn't find someone. You're literally taking out, I'd say, 15 to 20% of the game, and you're throwing it in the trash and saying that it's irrelevant. Like, so many teams miss the boat by not having a guy that can, at a bare minimum, you may not have a touchdown return, but if a guy returns a punt 22 yards, if a guy returns a kickoff 44 yards, that flips the field. Even if you don't get a first down off of that, you flip the field position. Now you've put your team in a better position to play defense, possibly get a punt. Now you got great field position. John Week, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. John Week, right? My guy Lou. What's going on, John? I'm excited to get my next training camp Cam Sims guy to root for. You got that guy already. His name's Ja'Cory Brooks. That's the guy. If you're looking for a Cam Sims type, that's probably the guy you'll be, looking at saying, hey, this guy should make the team. Like, every year, this happens every year. As fans, we latch on to a guy. And for you, it might be this guy. For 15 other people, it might be this guy. For 200 other people, it might be this guy. But you find a guy that you really like, that impressed you in the preseason, and you latch on to him and you say, hey, he should make the roster, right? There were a couple of them last year. Jeff Driscoll was one for sure, because Marcus Mariota barely played in the preseason, and we turned on him. I'm guilty as charged. I ain't even going to hold you. Driscoll played well. I liked his athleticism. All I was thinking about was, if something happens to Jaden, I want a quarterback with wheels. Driscoll has wheels. He's still relatively young. And he's not super young, but I think he might be younger than Marcus Mariota. He should be. He's probably in the same range as Mariota, age-wise. But I was like, Driscoll looked good in the preseason. Mariota, played one possession against the Jets, and that was it. They shut him down. And remember, he had already gotten injured. I'm like, see, here we go. We haven't even done shit, and he's already hurt. And I turned on Mariota. I ain't gonna front. And I like Mariota. I loved the signing when he was brought in here, and I thought he was the perfect guy to have here. But shit, I was team Driscoll in the preseason last year. I ain't gonna front. So I latched on to Jeff Driscoll. I latched on to Michael Wiley. You guys know my affinity for Michael Wiley, what it was last year. I latched on to Michael Wiley. I hitched my wagon to him, and I was like, yeah, he needs to be here. You know what was really funny last year was, at the very end of camp, they brought in Martavis Bryant. Do you know how many people were banging the table for Martavis Bryant after that Patriots preseason game? Oh my God, it got wild at the end of the preseason. Like, this dude just got here. What are you guys talking about? Chill. They was not trying to hear that shit. He caught that touchdown to win us the game. The players on the sidelines, the coaches, they all went nuts. And so did some of the fans. He won a lot of people over that night. So you see it every year where you latch on to a guy like, hey, I remember one year, and he actually did make the roster, was the corner that tore his ACL, Torrey McTyer, right? We latched on to him in the preseason that year, and we were like, man, he better make this roster, right? And he did. He ultimately did make the roster. And we do it all the time. We've got the preseason all-pro squad, all-time all-pro squad, Marcus Mason. What was the receiver out of Nevada? Oh, my God. Oh, what was his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Y'all know what I'm talking about. How about Nico Marley? You come on, y'all remember these names from the preseason? Oh my God, man. We used to, I mean, that it happens every year. It happens every year. So what's his name? I'm gonna be like a dog with a bone until I figure out Jesus. I think his name started with an M too, man. I'm gonna think of it while I'm reading one of these super chats. John Week, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Kaho and Louie interact a lot with each other, Lou. Can never have enough of them Samoan type dudes on your football team. Pure dogs. The first thing I thought about was Frankie Louie when I saw Kaho, because I'm like, I bet you they got a lot in common. They got a lot to talk about. And, you know, their paths to the NFL probably are, you know, obviously aren't the same. They're not, because Ale Kaho has a very unique, I talked about it last night, a very unique path to the NFL because of the foot injury. But they both, I'm trying to think. I think I'm mixing up. I'm mixing up my guys, because he never was at Washington State. I think I'm thinking about Maigoa, the linebacker from Miami, that I forgot who drafted him late in the NFL draft, but I think he was a 6th or 7th round. I think he was a 7th round pick by somebody. He started out at Alabama. He was a highly recruited guy, and obviously had the foot injury. But I would assume that those guys love to see someone else. That's what I think. Mariota and Oos probably get along really good, right? Because they have a similar background. Anybody that has that Samoan background is gonna really kind of flock towards each other. So I bet once Louie comes in and meets him, I bet you they're gonna probably hit it off really good. Is my guess. And you're right. Usually those Samoan dudes, they're built different, and it's really up here. Like, you know, what I've seen in my life, and I'm extending this conversation outside of the realm of sports. I'm just talking in general. Is people that come to the United States from different countries, they're just hungrier. They just want it more than us. We are so pampered. We're so spoiled because we grew up with this, right? You know, all of this stuff. It feels like it's our inherent right to have all of these things provided to us, right? As natural born citizens of this country, like, we take a lot of things for granted. People that come from other countries, people that have different backgrounds, that their origins aren't of, you know, the United States, and their customs and their traditions are a little bit different. They don't take these things for granted like we do. They come over here and they got a totally different mindset. You know, I remember going to school, high school, with kids where if they got a B, that's an ass whooping. Like, you know, some of these Asian kids, like, that's an ass whooping. You come home. Some of these African kids, you come home with a B. Like, you want to know why most valedictorians are some Asian kid or some African kid? Because their parents don't play with education. They take that shit serious. And I look at, athletics the same way. And again, you can take that and expand that throughout any walk of life. They don't take things for granted like some others do. And football is a very aggressive sport. And those Samoans, man, they play with a chip on their shoulder. They really, truly do. And so I think that's why he's a hell of a special teams player, is Ale Cajo. They just built different mentally. So I wouldn't be shocked if they hit it off. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Barry Curtis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Barry Curtis. Right. Lots of similarities between Lane and Terry. Both wore 83 in college. Both ran 4.36. Both viewed as special teams guys. Both misused in college. Just saying. Uh-oh. Are you putting that out in the atmosphere, Barry? Don't shy away from it. Are you putting that out in the atmosphere? Because, I mean, everything you said is actual factuals. Nothing you said is false. Both wore 83. Both were viewed like I remember Terry as the 3rd round pick. Literally. I forgot, because I think there was a player that I wanted that year that was still on the board that we didn't take, and then we took Terry instead. And I wasn't thrilled by it. And I remember, and I hadn't done any film study on Terry McLaurin that year in 2019. And I remember a Ravens fan who that year had done a really good job covering the draft. He was like, man, the Commanders just got themselves a dog. And I thought he was talking about from a special team standpoint. He was like, no, I had Terry McLaurin as like my 6th best receiver in this draft. This guy's going to be a stud at the NFL level. And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And because he wasn't on my radar. I didn't have him as a guy that I was, watching extensively then. And so I went and watched, and I was like, okay, he got some speed, he got some vertical ability, but I was told he's going to be a dog on special teams. So I started watching special teams clips of him, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't know if that's what you want to draft in the 3rd round, but all right, bet. And then we see what Terry turned into. So I won't say Terry was misused at Ohio State, because they had so much talent while he was there, right? He was the vertical threat. He was the guy that could take the top off the defense, and he did a damn good job of doing that. At Virginia Tech, we know Jalen Lane didn't have the best quarterback play. So there's that. But again, you're not wrong. I don't think he's going to be Terry McLaurin, though. I'm not putting that on him. I'm not going to put that on that young man. But I will say he could have a bigger impact on this football team than people are giving him credit for. I do think that that's something that could take place. So anyway, I digress. Man, I'm still trying to think of that name of that damn wide receiver that was a preseason legend. Oh my God, why am I blanking on this dude from Nevada? Oh my God, I'm gonna have to look him up. I can't leave without getting this thing because it's gonna drive me nuts. Redskins preseason wide receiver. I'm gonna say it was 2002. Let's see. No, that's too far back. That's too far back. Maybe it was 05 because Spurrier wasn't here. Oh. No, I'm not gonna find it. I don't know why I even tried. I'm not gonna find it like that. Oh my God, what was his name? Jesus. It definitely starts with an M. I don't know why I cannot think of this man's name. I'm gonna go through the alphabet. Marco Mitchell. Thank you. I knew it started with an M. Marco Mitchell. That was the guy. So So you get these dudes, man, in the preseason that we latch on to. Cam Sims was one of them as well. You latch on to. Another one was Steven Sims Jr. that ultimately made the roster that we latched on to. And then he had that big punt return in the final game of the preseason that pretty much solidified his spot on the roster in 2019. We see it every year just about. So who will be that guy this year? We'll see. We'll see. But thank y'all for solving that mystery for me, because it was going to kill me and I was going to be thinking about it even after the stream was over. Marco Mitchell. I knew it started with an M. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T here, on this installment of the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up, take command. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys after the weekend. Once again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Happy Mother's Day to all of the moms out there. We can't thank you enough for your contribution to society. We don't exist without you. We celebrate you every day of the year, 365 days. But on this Sunday, we celebrate you the most, and you deserve it. So shout out to all the moms out there. We love you, and we thank you for all that you do. So big ups to moms out there everywhere. Happy Mother's Day. We love you. So with that said, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Mother's Day. And we'll come back after the weekend and we'll really dive in. Like I said, I'll probably have some content for you guys over the weekend to chew on. But after that, we turn our attention and our focus immediately to the schedule release. They're going to start dropping tidbits as early as Monday. I know a lot of you have seen, and we're going to have that discussion over the weekend, that something was dropped, a little tidbit, little nugget potentially was dropped out there. So we're going to talk about that among other topics. So again, be ready for that. And also, Super Friends are supposedly on the schedule for Monday. We'll see, right? I'm just telling you what I've been told. We'll see if that actually takes place. But the Super Friends are supposed to be linking up on Monday. So for those of you who are interested, stay tuned potentially for that. But I digress. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the playoff basketball. Enjoy playoff hockey if that's your thing. Enjoy the regular season baseball. Whatever is your cup of tea, have at it over the weekend, and then we will reconvene on Monday. Until then, I'm your man Louie T signing off. You guys have a good one. Take care. God bless. Good night.